Welcome back. Remember, the wait times at the HCA East Florida Hospital emergency rooms average in the single digits, less than 10 minutes. Just go to hcaeastflorida.com. They list all their wait times for all their hospitals there, and they update them every 30 minutes. Remember, emergencies don't wait for appointments. That's hcaeastflorida.com. What a great pleasure today to be joined by one of the great wine individuals in the world, Olivier Masmondet from Louis Jadot. At the age of 20, became the youngest sommelier at a Michelin-starred restaurant in France, and he joins us today. He's now the export director for Louis Jadot. What a pleasure to see you and meet you.
Same here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Louis Jadot wines, even in America, we kind of grew up with them. If you love wine in this country, this bottle, this product is something that, this label is something you're so very familiar with.
Absolutely.
How much wine does Louis Jadot make?
Only three.
Two different varietals. That's
no,
it.
No. I'm joking. We use only Burgundy wine, and of course wines from the Beaujolais region, which is part of Burgundy. But overall, we're talking about 70,000 cases of wine produced, and it's about 125 different wines produced. So,
and how much of that comes to the United States? Quite a bit.
Long story short, we started to export Jadot wines back in 1945, and we started to export wines like Beaujolais Village, Macon Village. About 47% of the export volume goes to the U.S.
Right. And do we in the United States prefer Jadot white or red?
That's a very good question. It's more red.
It is?
Yeah.
I have a feeling that more Americans these days are going more toward the red. You make a beautiful Pinot Noir, which we're going to try in a couple of minutes, that certainly Americans have gone to. Chardonnay is our favorite white grape as well. So it's perfectly, it's in a perfect spot, I think, for the American palate in so many ways. Talk to us about the Chardonnay. This is the first element that you're going to let us taste today.
We're going to taste the Bourgogne Blanc, which is 100% Chardonnay. Bourgogne is the French name for Burgundy, Blanc for the white color, of course. And this is 100% Chardonnay and harvested coming from the region of Côte d'Or, which is the heart of Burgundy, and vinified in barrel. Partially, 50% of the wine will be fermented in barrel, and the other 50% will be fermented in stainless steel tank and aged in barrel overall. But the idea is to produce a wine that is very balanced, not only a very extracted Chardonnay. That's not what we look for. We look very much more to the balance of the wine.
It's a more new, even the French style, especially the Jadot, it's a nuanced flavor of wine. If you grab an American Chardonnay and compare it to this, the American Chardonnay is going to hit you over the head with oak and things of that, and butter and all those kinds of things. That's not the case with this wine.
No, absolutely not. We have to take in consideration that Burgundy, if you put Burgundy on the map, it's the same latitude as Maine. So it's a cold weather, rather than Napa or Sonoma that are much warmer, or Rhone Valley or Bordeaux.
Right, so it's a colder climate.
It's a colder climate.
Right.
So naturally you're going to have an acidity component that will be higher than any other region.
And as a result, it's a better pairing with food.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Because you have the acidity that you need in accompaniment.
And that acidity could, we say in French, could hit the fat. It's fighting the fat that you can get, let's say, in a salmon or a certain fish that are pretty fat and meaty. Right. And that's, again, you're looking for a food and wine pairing, a wine that will fight the food in a decent way, in a balanced way. Including
some of the sauces that the French traditionally have utilized in the past.
Yes.
Because you've got to get through that as well and really bring the flavor of both out, the wine and the food.
Absolutely.
See, it's fun to talk to a sommelier because tell me the food that you would pair, your favorite pairing with this Bourgogne Blanc.
There will be, there are two types of pairing with that wine.
Okay.
There is what I call the friendly one, which is just by itself with some good friends around you. The moment, it's what I call the moment pairing. And there is a food pairing, of course, that is more important. So I will naturally go with some white fish or grilled fish, with some little sauce, creamy sauce around, with some nice vegetable fresh from the garden, something more spring-like in terms of cuisine. But a little saltiness, a little bit spicy, but not too much, too much spice. Otherwise, you kill the aspect of the wine that is the most interesting.
And this wine will be perfect in South Florida year-round because of our heat, because of our our humidity, because of we drink a lot of rosé in South Florida, we drink a lot of white in South Florida, but there'll be time for the Pinot Noir as well. Tell me what we're smelling, what we're tasting here.
Typically, a good Chardonnay from Burgundy, you're going to smell what we call the white flower aromas. I mean, also, you know that white peach flavor
Yes.
that is interesting, apricot as well. And there is always on the finish a peppery aspect, white pepper. And white pepper is the indication, it's the element that will tell you that you're tasting a very pure Chardonnay. That's one of the most important aroma and element in Chardonnay.
Wonderful.
Absolutely.
See, now that's another tip that no matter how much wine you drink, you're going to need to get something from someone like Olivier. That's a wonderful Chardonnay. Louis Jadot, available throughout South Florida. This is 2016. What approximate price point for this in the retail operation? Do
That
we know?
will be around $16, $17 a bottle.
See, that's a wonderful price point for this. It's a terrific bottle of wine. As you said, two great pairings around friends and all those kinds of fun things, but also with some simply grilled fish with a light sauce. It's a beautiful wine. It really is in so many ways. Pinot Noir. Americans have just jumped all over Pinot Noir. And when we think of Pinot Noir, we think Russian River, we think of those kinds of things. Completely different profile than you will have with the French.
Absolutely.
The differences, what are they?
We've been growing Pinot Noir in Burgundy for 400 years, and Pinot Noir is very happy in Burgundy because it's based on the limestone-based soil. The bedrock is limestone with a lot of marls and clay on the top. And so Pinot Noir that you're going to produce in Burgundy, coming from that cooler climate, will be much more brighter. You're not looking for the ripeness that you can get in the Russian River, etc. The fruit aspect, you're looking much more for the density of the wine, and a maturation that is more phenolic maturation, more complete. So more acidity, tannins that are a little bit more velvety, but you will never have that dark fruit aspect that can be sometimes overwhelming. You're much more on the acidity side, minerality side, the mineral aspect coming from the limestone.
So in other words, it really has more to do with soil and terroir than it does in winemaking technique.
Absolutely.
Is the difference between California, for example, Oregon, and although Oregon may be closer to you as well.
Oregon is close to Burgundy.
Right.
Oregon is a volcanic soil, while Burgundy is limestone, but we feel very close to Oregon.
Right, and also in latitude, correct?
Absolutely.
Right.
So, and we even have a project in Oregon. We have some vineyard that we own since 2013 in Oregon, called Resonance in Carlton, Yamhill, Carlton.
Yes.
Beautiful vineyard, and we're very happy to have it. It's quite interesting. But it's two different animals. In Oregon, you still have that aspect of ripeness coming from the heat, which in Burgundy you will never have. So it's more on the density side, on the more minerality, verticality of the Pinot Noir.
All right. Again, more food friendly as well.
More food friendly as well, and aging, great aging
Potential.
point.
Right.
Absolutely.
This also again the Louis Jadot Côte de Bon Village, and it's 2015. Price point approximately for this?
Around, I would say retail about 35.
And you know, it doesn't matter. It just seems for any Pinot Noir you get worldwide these days, a decent Pinot Noir or a good Pinot Noir, you're not going to pay less. They've become very, very expensive. I don't know if it's the scarcity of the grape or for whatever reason, or just our appetite for Pinot Noir. But we're drinking Pinot Noir with everything: fish, meat. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's one of the few varietal that you can pair. I was talking about salmon. If you do a grilled salmon, a Pinot Noir like that with grilled salmon is absolutely
Perfect.
gorgeous.
Yes.
And it's versatile. It's open-minded. Pinot Noir is very open-minded.
I like that way. That's a perfect description. Mushrooms, also one of my favorite pairings with both of them.
That's a good. Now I'm getting it.
See that? All right. Well, tell me what I'm tasting.
Here you're tasting 2015 vintage, which is a tiny crop that we produced in 2015. We lost 50% of the crop because the heat wave. So it was one of the few hot years we had in Burgundy. And so you have something that is very concentrated naturally. All you're getting here, the color, etc., comes really from the natural concentration. The fact that the berry lost a little bit of water naturally. The ratio between skin and pulp was much more in favor of the skin. So that's why you have that color natural that is a little darker than usual.
Considered a good year for you, despite the fact that you lost 50% of your grape?
Yeah, it's one of the best year ever. 2015 and 2016 are very close to each other in terms of style. 15 has a little bit more tannin structure because we had a cold winter, and the vines keep in memory that cold snap. It's called a vine memory, and it translates into tannins in Burgundy.
Wonderful. And thus the longer aging potential too, as well with the tannins.
Absolutely.
It's a wonderful bottle of wine. Again, it's a Louis Jadot. It's a 2015 Côte de Beaune Village. Again, about $35 a bottle. You're not going to get a better Pinot Noir for that, especially in the Burgundy region. And the third and final glass that we have, what is this? What are we drinking here?
We are drinking something that is from an estate we own called Château des Jacques, which is located in the southern part of Burgundy, in the Beaujolais region, in the most upscale Beaujolais part region, called the Cru Beaujolais. And it's an estate we bought in '96. And in Beaujolais, they work differently. They have villages, and one of them is Moulin à Vent, which means the windmill. And the Château des Jacques in Moulin à Vent, it's an estate vineyard, but they have a single vineyard called the Clos de Rochegray. That's the name of the single vineyard. So here it's Gamay grape. Gamay grape, which is a descendant of Pinot Noir.
Right.
It's Pinot Noir that has been crafted with a white grape called the Gouais Blanc, and the son is Gamay. So Gamay shares 50% of its DNA with Pinot Noir.
Ah.
But here you are on the granitic soil, versus here limestone. Here it's granitic,
Right.
pure granite. And here the way they make the wine is very different. It's hand harvested, salting table in distem, fermented in a stainless steel tank for about 3 weeks with pumps over, and aged in barrel for 8 months. So that's the traditional way of making Cru Beaujolais, as we say.
Beaujolais, the Cru Beaujolais is the top end of the spectrum.
Absolutely.
But you can have a lower end entry level Beaujolais as well,
Absolutely.
correct?
You can have Beaujolais, Beaujolais Village, and Cru Beaujolais.
And Cru Beaujolais. This is a real treat to be able to try this.
Yeah.
Price point's going to be heavier here, obviously.
It's going to be around 50, between 40 and 50, and it's 250 cases produced.
Only 250 cases produced.
Yeah.
And do you have enough in the United States for us to drink?
For you, yes.
Okay, I'm glad. But again, people hear Beaujolais and they probably are trying, again, the entry level Beaujolais. But if you're going to wine with a Cru Beaujolais, especially from Louis Jadot, you're going to get one of the finest bottles of wine that you're going to find in that region. What are we tasting here? And
Here you're much more on the dark rose petal flavors, a little bit more granitic aspect, which vibrates. It's called like a cold stone that you smell, and also the dark fruit that is coming behind with the spice, the dark pepper, black pepper also as well, which is a little bit unusual for Gamay.
and a longer finish than we've had with the other wines, and also there's a dryness to it. And this is a beautiful bottle of wine, by the way. Pairing, what would you pair this with?
Alors, this is typically a kind of wine that you can keep for the next 10 years without a problem. Knowing myself, I know I won't do that because I'm too weak when it comes to aging.
Yes,
all right?
same.
So, grill. Anything that you do in a grill. Could be red meat, lamb, anything like that.
It'd be great with lamb. It'd be beautiful with a lamb dish. Do you miss being in a restaurant and helping people with having these conversations? You're very good at it, very easy in your conversation. Do you miss that?
I miss that sometimes, yes. I'm lucky enough because I'm still traveling the world, and I go all over the world and I meet people from various countries, various culture, various background, and I'm still talking to people.
Right.
But what I miss the most from the restaurant business, it's the fact that in the restaurant business, you were talking about wine at some point, but at some point the food was coming.
Right. Right.
With the smell of the
Right.
food
Right.
and the wine all together, and the pleasure that you put on the face of the people when they are having a good moment. Because I think that a lot of people forget in the restaurant business, their first job and duty is to make people happy.
Yes.
Very important.
Well, they call it hospitality for a reason, and nobody
That's
does it
right.
better than the French. And in Burgundy, with Louis Jadot, you're finding some of the finest. Have you made your own wine yet? Have you done that?
Yes, it happens.
Well, yeah, it happens. Well, someone you've hit every single aspect of the wine business. You really have. Export, sommelier, and that's the natural progression toward. And it would be a shame to waste your knowledge. One of these days, I'm going to taste whatever it is you make. His name is Olivier Masmondet. It's the only thing I could pronounce this whole segment. Our thanks to you and the folks at Louis Jadot for allowing us to be able to be with you today. 3 great bottles of wine, this wonderful Chardonnay, this terrific Pinot Noir, and of course this Beaujolais Cru, which is a terrific bottle of wine. Olivier, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so
what
much.
a pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you
Right.
as well.
We'll come back with more right after this on Eat This, Drink That, Go. And I'm going to finish this glass of wine. I hope you don't mind. Cheers.
Cheers. Fantastic.